It's the beginning of a new session and time for both basic and secondary schools in Nigeria. Pupils excitedly resuming to resume their new classes. Teachers eager to commence what they know best after a long vacation. The story is different here at Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, always grappling with prolonged strike actions by primary school teachers.
We've seen a gradual erosion where strikes used to be something that only the tertiary institutions partake of, and then now we're seeing secondary schools, teachers go on strike. And you come to the root cause of these issues is happening. What is causing this? You see that it is either the government has made a promise and they've reneged on that promise, or these teachers are going on strike just to save the sector that they operate in. Whether they are moribund infrastructures and things like that. It's appalling. Elsewhere that is not the FCT, you see dilapidated buildings, you see places that are unfit for study. And the truth is, like what we've seen with tertiary institutions, these strikes are going to become perennial if the root cause is not addressed. Because the government have this attitude of always reneging on their promises. And anytime an industrial action or a strike comes up, you call the teachers, maybe through the National Union of Teachers or National Union of Technical Teachers, and then you make extra promises. Having reneged on the previous ones, you make extra promises, you release some money, and everybody is happy for a while. But what the teachers are really looking for is a solution to the problem, not just a patch-up. So those are the issues really behind the strike. And who suffers for this strike? The students, of course.
In this case, gates are closed, schools abandoned, classrooms empty, an act crippling the education sector and leaving thousands of pupils stranded. It's not the first time, not the second, nor third time this is happening successively. As years pass by, it is becoming almost a yearly occurrence, as records show that teachers have downed tools in 2012. FCT primary school teachers embarked on a 2-week strike over non-payment of salary arrears and poor working conditions. Another one came in 2018, where teachers in the FCT primary schools again went on a strike for 3 weeks, demanding payment of outstanding promotion arrears and implementation of the 2018 Teacher Welfare Agreement. Then comes another one again in 2020. FCT joined the nationwide strike by the Nigerian Union of Teachers (NUT), protesting the federal government's handling of COVID-19 pandemic measures in schools. Yet again, 2022 witnessed teachers in FCT primary schools in an indefinite strike on September 13th, demanding payment of outstanding salary arrears, improved working conditions, and implementation of the 2020 Teacher Welfare Agreement. Then came the most recent of the strikes, this year 2024, an indefinite industrial action embarked on by the same FCT primary school teachers, which commenced on September 18th, hinged on demands for payment of 25 months minimum wage arrears, implementation of salary increases, and payment of peculiar allowances.
The honest truth is that if we dip it, if we look at it thoroughly, the teachers are not asking for what they were not promised. They are not asking to be moved up to the salary equivalent of a permanent secretary. The government overtly or covertly made these promises when fuel subsidy was being yanked off. The hardship allowance came in. So if we look at it particularly, the teachers are only asking that what they have been promised should be brought to bear. And if we look at it across board, this is always the danger of strikes in Nigeria. The government makes a promise, they don't live up to it. The union or the teachers or the lecturers, they keep on pushing, and after a while they cannot push any further, and they're like, okay, you made this promise, why are you quiet about the promise? Maybe we need to shut things down so that you can listen to us. And it's a bad habit. It's a bad habit that we have institutionalized.
Join us as we examine issues of corruption affecting the standard of education in public schools in the Federal Capital Territory, Nigeria, at all levels of education, and the impact on the girl and boy child, people living with disabilities, women, and youth in general. Join Leaves on Worms on AD4 TV radio, where government strategies on these critical areas and their impact on the lives of residents of the territory are x-rayed. Stay tuned on our channels weekly for this revealing program, jointly produced by AD4 TV Radio and Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism and supported by MacArthur Foundation.
We love AD4 TV Radio.
It took the intervention of the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, for the teachers to suspend the strike. Wike had threatened to use 10% of the internally generated revenue earmarked for area councils to pay the striking teachers, a move that helped to resolve the impasse for their teachers to return to the classrooms. Teachers' response to the FCT administration's alleged failure to meet their demand.
They are asking for arrears. It was promised. Some states have been paying it. So some very few states have been paying it. So it's not like these guys are asking for too much, in all honesty. They are not asking for too much. How feasible or how realistic it is, it's a question that the government needs to ask and answer by themselves, because they brought all of this. And another thing that it seems to be lacking with government policy, especially with the government of the day, is a second order thinking. So because you want to do this, you promise that. But where they fail in the second order thinking is, you are not thinking that how do we actualize this in order to make do with what we have promised. So if there is a problem of feasibility or realization, it's on the government end. And seeing that the government is all powerful, they can't make it happen. They should make it happen because they promised it.
Under the umbrella of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, teachers had demanded the implementation and payment of arrears of the 25% and 35% salary increase, implementation and payment of arrears of 40% peculiar allowances, and payment of arrears of the 35,000 wage award that is now obsolete considering the current economic challenges and the federal government's bill on the new minimum wage. At the center of the recurring disputes lie issues of poor working conditions, inadequate infrastructure, and unpaid allowances.
In other climes, teachers' welfare are taken at the highest level, because they are the ones that really impact into the life of our children. They are the real models. They are the role models, and they have a lot to do for the development of the country and society in general. I think their welfare should be taken seriously. If there's going to be any meaningful impact in the life of these kids. Somebody who is not well motivated, who is not well remunerated, he or she won't put in his or her best.
Growing up, we were told that teachers' reward is in heaven. Meanwhile, every other occupation and every other career jobs here, their reward starts from here before you go heaven. But then when it gets to teacher, they don't value us. They see us as I think they see teachers as nannies. They are not supposed to be paid well, like it's your job to take care of this. Sometimes we even go an extra mile to make sure we fix the problem, and then we are not still regarded as anything. We've had, they pay us below the things we do. Teachers should be paid higher than medical doctors. They should be paid higher than a lot of people But in Nigeria, even government speaking, they don't pay teachers what they are due. They pay them lesser. We have families. We have people looking out onto us, and we cannot say because we are teachers, we cannot meet up to our duties. So I think if government is able to regulate this, we will go forward and we will be better teachers. Because a happy teacher, when our pockets are happy, our children are happy.
Teachers' welfare are not taken into consideration. If you go to the budget of the country, you see that education is always having the lowest amount of budgets. So that has been the issue. Teachers are not being rewarded. And I believe if the Nigerian government want to develop this country, they should be able to look into the welfare of teachers and remunerate them, because teachers are the ones that train doctors, they train nurses, they train the politicians, they also train accountants and engineers. So if these people are not giving what it takes to stay in the profession, you will see that the profession very soon, people will be leaving to other professions, and it will be a very big blow to the economy.
Teachers are also demanding better working conditions, such as classrooms, libraries, and recreational spaces and facilities.
Government should be blamed. Are you getting me? The infrastructure. Government is the owner of the school. Government should provide that. Since the students are paying, they pay. Are you getting? Even if it is a scholarship, government is responsible.
Even if they are to write the West African examination, which is WAEC, a government school that is having over 700 students in a class, how do you expect them to use the computer gadget to be able to acquire whatever they intend to acquire? But on the long run, I noticed that some of these things cannot be actualized until the government sits back and look into it too, so that they can provide all necessary gadgets for these students. Yes, we've seen students sitting on the ground. Why? Because the population is even more than the materials they have. So, of course, the next place for them to sit is on the ground. So they sit there. If government can look into it based on this budget, this budget they release are still the ones they are working with. But maybe it's because it's minute, it's so small. And that's why you see some of these gadgets not being provided to the public schools. So, truthfully, they cannot meet up with the practical requirements from external examinations. They can't.
Learning begins from the known to the unknown. As you teach, you demonstrate, you show them the things. Children learn fast with what they see than what you tell them. So these things, if you go to some schools, these things are lacking, and it's impacting on the students negatively, especially the children. If you go to the Western world, they learn with good, well-established equipment, modern equipment, which enhance teaching and learning. And I think the government of the day should strive. What they travel, a lot of our leaders, they travel outside the country and they see all these things. They should try to import those good things into our country so that our nation will be a better place for we and our children.
Most of these public schools or public secondary schools that our kids used to attend, they tend to be lacking in a lot of infrastructure. Okay, there is this kind of neglect in the public sector, in the public schools, as a result of most of these guys who owns private institutions or private secondary schools. They find themselves conniving with the public school organizations and all that to ridicule it more, so that on the other part they could be gaining more entrances. So government on one part should come in and look into this, all right? There has to be a kind of regulation, strict regulations.
Most of the schools, when you go around, you will see that the environment is not conducive for learning. So, but we still have schools that are good, particularly the rural area. The attention needs to be given to rural areas, because most of these facilities is not conducive for learning to take place. It is in Nigeria, you still have some schools that don't even have enough classroom. They learn under the tree. So if government can pay attention to that, I think it will help a lot towards making education and learning very conducive for the students. So, and the area of ICT need to be encouraged in schools, most schools. And when I say ICT, government should endeavor to, give attention to ICT, because the world now is ICT compliance.
Ku kasance tare da mu yayin da muke tattaunawa kan yadda matsalolin cin hanci da rashawa ya dabaibaye ingancin ilimi a makarantun gwamnati da ke birnin tarayya Abuja da ma Najeriya a matakan ilimi daban-daban, tasirin ilimin ga 'ya'ya mata da maza da ma masu bukata ta musamman, mata da matasa ma ba a bar su a baya ba. Kasance da kafar AD4 TV Radio don ilmantuwa kan manufofin gwamnati, tsare-tsare da ma yadda matakan aiwatar da su ke tasiri ko akasin haka. Yin tankaɗe da riraya na daga cikin abubuwan da muke baiwa muhimmanci. Ku tabbatar kun kasance da tashar mu ta AD4 TV Radio a kowane mako don sauraron wannan shiri, bisa ɗaukar nauyin AD4 TV Radio da cibiyar Wole Soyinka da ke tallafawa binciken injin da tallafawar gidauniyar Makata.
The demand for the payment of outstanding promotion arrears and implementation of the 2018 Agreement on Teacher Welfare is also pending. Reports by the FCT wing of the Nigerian Union of Teachers reveal over 8,000 primary school teachers participated in the industrial action, representing about 70% of the total teacher workforce in the FCT. The union's chairman emphasizes that teachers will not relent in demanding for their rights. AD4 TV's radio investigation, supported by the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism and the MacArthur Foundation, reveals that the strike is severely impacting basic education in the FCT, as approximately 250,000 pupils are affected, the academic year hanging in the balance. Parents and guardians are worried about the loss of valuable learning time and the potential consequences on their children's future.
We operate an ultra-capitalist system where in most cases, or in a lot of cases, both parents are out of the house trying to make ends meet. And now, school that is supposed to have absorbed the kids and keep them busy for the better part of the day is now on strike. So we're seeing a situation where these children have to stay at home. We would make the case that a secondary school student is perfectly capable of looking after themselves. That might be true, but a secondary school student will also be dealing with, remember that these are the adolescent years. A lot of them are now breaking into the fullness of their body, the realization that, oh, this is happening to me. All of that navigation, all of that guidance, with nobody to put them through, it becomes a problem. There is the problem of truancy. There are students that will not resume after the strike. So the educational system have lost those ones. There are those who, during this period, whether due to the kind of parents that they have, they will play truant. There are those who will give in to the peer pressure of drugs, of juvenile delinquencies. Some will not retrace their steps. So these are the things that should bother parents, and I believe that it is bothering parents. And some people say, oh, they should learn handy skills, they should learn tech skills. Yeah, all of that is good, but it is not a substitute for basic education.
AD4 TV Radio discovered that teachers in the FCT primary schools work under challenging conditions, with most schools lacking basic amenities such as electricity, lack of water, and functional toilets. As if not enough, they have to deal with overcrowded classrooms with an average pupil-to-teacher ratio of 50:1. Teachers often use personal resources to supplement inadequate teaching materials. A teacher shares experiences saying, and I quote, "We teach in dilapidated classrooms with leaking roofs. Most of our pupils sit on broken chairs and we are left to struggle to provide the basic teaching aids is demotivating, but we are compelled to persevere all circumstances for the sake of the children and our love to impact humanity. End of quote. Although there are attempts by the FCT administration to address some of these concerns, which include the payment of the 50% of the outstanding promotion arrears, the teachers are not relenting in their insistence for their full payment as well as the implementation of all agreed upon welfare packages.
None of this would have happened if the government had simply fulfilled their promises, right? And now we see this cycle of broken promises. So all of these efforts that we're seeing now are just interventions after the fact. And because we are so prone to this, we want government to speak to us, so we shut down everything. So we say a circle, we shut down everything, government speaks, they hold meetings, maybe we're requesting for 6-month arrears to be paid. They pay 2 months, and we're like, government has tried, let's get back to work. They will pay the rest. They give a deadline to paying the rest of the money. And the deadline passes again, and the union starts agitating. So yeah, are there efforts? Definitely there are efforts. But can more be done? Should more be done? Yes, two truths can coexist. Instead of seeing all of this knee-jerk reaction, instead of saying this, they've gone on strike, what do we do? Minister for Labour and Productivity calling meetings up and down. Why not let us see a process where the government follows through on their promises?
While going back and forth on the negotiation table, concerns continue to mount about the consequences and long-term effects of this recurring action on education. Experts warn that these recurring and prolonged strike actions can lead to decreased student performance, increased dropout rates, as well as lead to the erosion of teacher morale.
There are exams that are not only within the state or within the country. For instance, WAEC is written across, I think, 6 West African countries. So there is no single principality or power that can decide that, we will shift WAEC back by a week, except all of the countries represented are gathered together and they vote unanimously. So by having that industrial action, however short or however long, you have robbed the students of time that they should spend in the classroom preparing for these critical exams. When we look at it, even in Abuja, the students that have been making the highest grades on these very important exams are usually from private schools. And that process cuts through the entire country. And we don't see that as a problem. Now, students that have formed a routine of being in class from, say, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., some till 5 p.m., are now suddenly in the free world with endless time on their hands. Students who are being guided into what to do in school now suddenly have time and it's not being monitored because parents have to work, maybe, and things like that. So what do we see in the society? We see adults already, some of whom have succumbed to juvenile delinquencies, now taking these students under their wings and creating problems. Drug usage will be on the increase, prostitution, and other vices. Even, I dare say, armed robbery, kidnapping, in some other climes of the country, oil bunkering. So the issues are still intertwined because education is supposed to solve these problems. But when education now breaks down, society will pay for it.
It is pertinent to note that constant disruption of academics due to strike actions can have severe consequences on the pupils and teachers and the entire education system. 1. For the students, the disadvantages include loss of learning time, which results in missed classes, affecting students' ability to cover the curriculum. Delayed graduation. Prolonged strikes can delay graduation, impacting students' career prospects. It reduces academic performances, leading to a decrease in students' or pupils' engagement with lower grades and reduced academic achievement. It also increases stress and anxiety, causing uncertainty and disruptions, which can negatively impact the mental health of the pupils or students. There's also the limited access to resources. Strikes may limit students' access to libraries, laboratories, and other educational resources. The consequences of strike actions on the teachers include demotivation, as frequent strikes can demoralize teachers, affecting their motivation and teaching quality. It reduces job satisfaction, leading to frustration and decreased teacher turnover. Limited professional development, as their training and professional development opportunities are disrupted. On the education system, persistent strike actions reduces the quality of education, compromising the quality of education and affecting the overall standards. It decreases enrollment and deter prospective students, leading to decreased enrollment. It has economic impacts which can affect local economies as parents seek alternative education options. And then it has negative international reputation. Frequent strikes can tarnish the reputation of the education system, impacting international partners and collaborations. Strikes have consequences on the society, and such impacts include social unrest, economic burdens, and reduced social cohesion. And generally, the long-term consequences of recurring industrial actions include brain drain, driving talented educators and students to seek opportunities elsewhere. To mitigate these effects, stakeholders must prioritize dialogue, negotiation, and sustainable solutions to address the underlying issues driving strike actions.